President Obama, where do I start? I'm really taken aback and pleasantly surprised by your comments. Thank you. As a friend and ally, I've never really understood how friends could keep friends in jail, but I'm just glad that finally the US administration has seen the truth with regards to Jonathan Pollard. We too have a lot to answer on this issue, as I believe that our friendship and fear of hurting that relationship clouded our own judgment over the years. I did have a speech ready about how to reactivate the peace process, but after hearing your words, I have been jolted to see reality. I too need to apologise. Mr. President, I haven't been totally honest with you in the past. You see, I have towed the politically correct line of the defunct left in Israel that simply says land for peace works. That two states in the land of Israel are essential for peace, and that everything depends on security. I also believe that too many Israeli governments have acted thinking that we are a star on your flag. We, of course, have our own flag and Star of David. And the truth is that none of the above are true. We both know that Oslo has failed, and that land for peace and concessions on our part have brought nothing but hatred, violence, terrorism, and death to our back doorstep. The Arabs, from their part, have seen that violence works, and this only has brought even further concessions. This has to stop. We desperately need a new model because Oslo and dividing this land, the land of Israel, which is even smaller than New Jersey, has brought nothing but tragedy and catastrophe to my people. We are living and breathing a Nakba, a catastrophe, every single day. The other truths also need to be said. Two states in the land of Israel is impossible, absurd, unworkable, and totally unacceptable from our point of view. The land of Israel, including Judea and Samaria, belongs solely to the Jewish people. If any Christian or Muslim wish to accept this Jewish state for Jewish people, then he or she is welcome to live in our country. We have ensured freedom of religions and movement since 1967, which sadly couldn't be said by many Arab governments, including Jordan, who controlled many parts of the land of Israel between 1948 and 1967. One only needs to see what has happened on the Mount of Olives, at the kever, the grave of Joseph, and of the Rachel Imenu in Bethlehem, to understand what I'm saying. God has given us, the sons of Jacob, the land of Israel, and it shall not be given away. We are the true heirs to this land. We are the indigenous people who have returned home. We are not imperialists or conquerors like the British, the Turkish, the Muslims, the Crusaders, the Mamlukites, the Romans, Greeks, Persians, Babylonians. No, we are the rightful heirs, simply returning home. So you see, Mr. President, it has nothing really to do with security, although this, of course, is vital and important. But even if we were assured full peace and love by our Arab neighbours, and even if security wasn't an issue, we cannot and will not forfeit our land. Plus, of course, I'm not sure I even have the right to discuss any concessions. I am merely a custodian of the land which is owned by God and given to generations of Jews over the last 3,800 years. So where do we go from here? Number one, I believe that the Arabs have to first and foremost accept Israel as a Jewish state for the Jewish people. This may be painful for them, but without such a basic recognition coupled with a major change to the education at all levels, we cannot hope to proceed along any peace process whatsoever. Of course, there needs to be other painful concessions by the Arabs, including stopping all incitement against Israel in the media and at schools, stopping all terrorist activities, abandoning all forms of violence against Israel, disarming Hamas, the Fatah brigades, changing all aspects of the PLO Charter, understanding that there can be no right of return of any Arab refugees. We, of course, have already done the same, with 850,000 Jewish refugees driven from their homes in all Arab countries. So I'm sure it shouldn't be a problem that the Arab states will look after the Arab refugees. The truth is, we're actually considering asking the Arab states for compensation for these 850,000 Jews because they were unfairly driven out. This, of course, isn't the case with the Arab refugees who left at the request of Arab leaders who were intent on driving us into the sea. Thank God they failed. But we have no responsibility for these refugees. Number three, Jerusalem is not for sale. Jerusalem is not on the table. A united Jerusalem will remain under Jewish sovereignty and will ensure freedom for all religions. Just as Arabs have rights to buy in Jewish neighbourhoods, so too will any Jew have rights to buy in any old Jewish neighbourhoods, even if today it is predominantly an Arab neighbourhood. Mr. President, we both recall the dark days in America where blacks and Jews were not allowed to live in certain neighbourhoods. Let us not go down that path in Jerusalem. I hope, by the way, that you won't be too upset. There is I believe, a dedication ceremony on the Mount of Olives, one of the most famous mountains in Jewish history next to Mount Moriah, where there is today a Jewish neighbourhood built on Jewish land, all done legally. Mr. President, as you are aware, there have been major changes to Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria since 1967. There are today 210,000 Jews living in what used to be East Jerusalem. There are also close to 350,000 Jews living in Judea and Samaria. I believe the world calls that the West Bank. Not one Jew will be evicted or expelled from his home. Our history, sadly, is full of stories, shocking stories, of Jews who have been driven from their homes. It cannot and will not happen in our Jewish state. So the best option, given the difficult circumstances and reality on the ground, is for us to actually annex the whole of Judea and Samaria. I'm personally sorry that it's taken so long, 44 years, but at least we have woken up. You mentioned in your talk earlier something about Jordan. I too believe this can be an option if the Arabs wish to express themselves at any national level. In conclusion, the days are over when Jewish leaders play political games or manoeuvres to satisfy the nations of the world. I have to think of my heritage, my own upbringing, the Jewish dream, the hopes of generations of Jews, and speak with honesty, truth, and conviction. I thank you, Mr. President, for your friendship and loyalty towards the Jewish people and the State of Israel. May God continue to shelter and protect his people in his land. Todah, thank you,
Mr.
and
President.
shalom.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.